Hi, this is Crystal Cyrus from the OOTW podcast, and you're listening to Pop Goes Your World.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 119, our favorite songs of all time. Chris McBrien along with Caveman Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. You're going to find us on Twitter at Amaron_DM, that's for Derek, at CMcBrien, that's me, and popgoesyourworld.com is our website with all of our contact information on it. Derek, what's going on this week, my friend, in pop culture for you?
Hey, Chris. Well, I have had a chance. Remember I told you last week my very generous friend gave me some movie passes?
Yes, this is the one who enters all the contests all the time.
Yes. So the movie passes expired at the end of November. So in the last weekend of November, which was the last weekend, I had one last crack at this, and my wife and I went out and we saw the new whodunit mystery movie called Knives Out.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Do you know about this one?
This is the guy that directed the last Star Wars movie, right?
Yes, it stars Jamie Lee Curtis and the guy who's James Bond, and Don Johnson's in it, and it's got this huge cast. Christopher Plummer. It's got this really big cast of sort of who's who, and it's this extremely wealthy family in this giant mansion, and it basically begins with the maid finding the patriarch of the house has been killed, apparently by suicide, and then it's all about who's going to inherit the money, and there's this whole thing with the will, and then it's like, well, maybe he wasn't killed, and then Daniel Craig's character is brought in as an independent investigator to just validate what's going on, and Chris Evans, the guy who plays Captain America, he's in it. So again, it's got like a sort of a who's who of Hollywood is in this movie, and yeah, it was quite good. It runs a little over 2 hours, which I thought, I hope this doesn't drag on, but no, it was quite good. It's a very good example of sort of the mystery genre. I'm not a huge fan of this genre, but I'm thinking of classics like basically anything by Agatha Christie sort of would fall into this category. And no, it was quite good. I really enjoyed it. And with any good movie where there's a mystery, there should be some clues along the way so that you as the audience can try to solve the mystery before the characters in the movie solve the mystery. Like The Sixth Sense is an excellent example of that.
Oh, sure.
This one, not as good as Sixth Sense. Don't get me wrong. That movie was outstanding. But this one, after you sort of all the details are revealed and you start to think back and you're like, oh, that was there. And they did say that. And that sort of makes sense too. And so I think it would benefit from a second viewing. I don't think I'm going to go back to the theater to see it again, but I am looking forward to seeing it again when it comes on to HBO or Netflix or whatever, or on Blu-ray or on DVD. I think there would definitely be value in seeing it a second time once you know how all the pieces fit together. It was quite good. I really enjoyed it.
And you got it for free, right? Because
I did.
Buddy.
So
awesome.
Shout out to Matt. Thank you again for the passes. I think I ended up seeing 7 or 8 movies on his passes, so that was pretty good. And then the other thing I've been watching. So again, I'll give it yet another shout out. If you are not watching The Watchmen on HBO, you are doing yourself a disservice. Best show on TV right now. But also on HBO, I have been watching His Dark Materials. This franchise is based on a series of books by Philip Pullman. The first book in the series
is it a couple years old?
It's quite a few years old. The first book in the series was called The Golden Compass, and Golden Compass was released as a movie with also with Daniel Craig and with Nicole Kidman. I want to say almost 10 years ago now. It did not do very well, so they obviously didn't bother making the other books into movies. But the books are very, very well renowned. I read the first book. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't really get into the second book, so I gave up on the series. But I'm watching this. Season 1 is almost over on HBO. It's only got 2 more episodes left. It's quite good. It's a little slow at the beginning, but that doesn't usually turn me off. I know that there's going to be some payoff, and as the series is continuing on, I'm remembering more of the details from the book and or from the terrible version of the movie that came out a few years ago. But the problem I think with the previous movie was it was rated PG, so the violence was really toned down, and there are some pretty violent parts to this movie that are kind of critical to the main plot. And with this HBO series, it's for mature audiences, as much of HBO's content is. It's not as good as The Watchmen. It's not as good as Game of Thrones, but it's pretty good. If you're looking for something in that sort of fantasy-ish genre with like magic and stuff, I think people would enjoy it. So I would recommend checking that out. But I would say definitely give it a couple of episodes. If you're sort of on the fence, try and give it at least 2 shows. But The Watchmen, absolutely. I cannot stress how great The Watchmen is. It is super good.
Very cool. Well,
what about you?
As you know, I am not like you. I do not watch anything that's new. I don't experiment with anything new. I just keep going back and watching the same things over and over again from Gen X. So one of those things that I will go back and watch all the time is Three's Company. So it's on, I think, country music television or something like that.
CMT in Toronto,
yeah. So they put it on every day. It's on like from 8 to 9 o'clock. They do back-to-back episodes. So I watch all the time. And the good thing is it's one of those shows where my wife actually is like, oh, yeah, we'll watch this. I like this show. I'm like, great. So we watch it. And then I was watching it this past week. And I got thinking about it. Now, you've watched Three's Company before, obviously, right?
Not so much recently. I remember watching it when I was younger, and I like some of it. I find that show just, there were too many times in each episode when it was like awkward and embarrassing to watch. It's like you're just sort of cringing as the characters are doing these things, and that's not something I enjoy when I'm watching a comedy. I know some people love it. And what's his name? John. I want to say John Tripper. Tripper's his character name. John Ritter.
That's right. Yep.
Fabulous. I can't say enough good things about him. Even on the reruns when I go back, and I mean, like, even if I'm like, this episode's not so great, that guy's money. He is fantastic.
Such a physical comedian too, right? I think it's almost overlooked how physical of a comedian that he was.
But no, I haven't seen many. I haven't seen a full episode in that show in forever, and But I love the theme song. So,
it's great. So my question is this, and if you want to reach out to me on Twitter, you can get me at CMcBrien. That's CMCBRIEN, and answer this for me, because my question is, if you ever watched Three's Company, I'm wondering if you have a favorite co-star, if it was Chrissy, Cindy, or Terry. So Chrissy, of course, being Suzanne Summers. And then Cindy was Jenna Lee Harrison, and Terry was Priscilla Barnes. So my favorite, hands down, no question, is Terry. I think Priscilla Barnes is just phenomenal. And I was actually struck by it, going back and watching it, at just how she is a beautiful woman and physical comedian, and she had some real acting chops, and it surprised me. And when I say acting chops, I mean, she's not going to win an Academy Award or anything, but kind of in line with what you were mentioning about John Ritter. Like, she's a very physical comedian. And I think she's very, very skilled. And I think she's also very underrated. And so I kind of went back and took a look at her IMDb page, because I was curious. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen her in anything else. And she's worked consistently over the years. Not a lot. She's done a lot of TV and stuff like that, but she's worked consistently. But she just never really sort of broke out or really became, sort of super famous or anything like that from it. But Three's Company, my favorite of the roommates was always Terry. So did you? You've obviously seen all three of them at some point, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
do you have a favorite?
No. Well, I didn't like the last one. What was her name? The third.
Oh, that was Terry. She was the last one.
Okay, who was before Terry?
Was Cindy.
Cindy, yeah.
She was just in between, because
I never cared for her character. Yeah. Suzanne Summers, I take her or leave her. I mean, very beautiful, and that's great. But the idea of the sort of the bimbo ditzy character, it's not a character type that I've ever thought was a great character. Even as a young person, before more of an awareness and understanding of gender roles and all the rest of that, it never appealed to me. I think one of the reasons I did like Terry's character was, correct me if I'm wrong, her character's supposed to be a nurse.
Yes,
right?
So they went a different way. She was actually quite intelligent. She was educated. Nurse.
It was. She might still do like a fall down or a walk into a door kind of thing, but it wasn't like funny because she was derp. I don't understand what's going on. Tee-hee, look at me. Right. I'm a bimbo. There was never any of that with her character. And so I think if I went back and watched the show, I'd probably agree with you. I think probably Terry would be my favorite of the three. And Janet's character, I never really loved her, hated her. It's like she was there. She was an important part of that threesome. And I think probably if you go back now, you would realize how sort of underrated. It's like for any comedy pair, you always have to have a straight man so that the funny man can react with, right? And I think that Janet often got stuck sort of in that that role where it's like she was the quote unquote straight man to Jack Tripper's, fall down, do something, say something funny.
Yeah. But I think because someone else had mentioned it to me on Twitter, or I'd put something on Twitter and I was interacting with him about Three's Company, and he was basically saying it's like the greatest sitcom ever. Don't know if I'd go quite that far, but I think it was damn good. Oh God, it was a great sitcom. I loved it. It seemed like it was sort of the same thing week after week. There's always some sort of mix up, and there was like some misunderstanding, every week. The writers had to keep coming up with it, but it was a really good sitcom, man. So anyway, on that note, what do you say we get started? Hold on, I got to open a beer. I
need to take a big swig of mine too.
Let's have a drink because this is going to be a lot of fun.
Almost like a pirate radio guy during the war.
Then I just go back and watch Meatballs and Stripes and Smokey the Bandit and all those shows that I love.
Instead of playing a bar, they should have played like a minor league hockey arena.
Yeah, Jesus, man, young man, drive me crazy with this stuff.
And that wasn't cool.
Long Duck Dong.
For those of you who have not been keeping count, I have.
Jaws, Star Wars, and Raiders of the Lost Ark are my 3 favorite movies of all time.
Holiday rap.
Yes, we're going to ring rang-a-dong for a holy day. All right, so this week we decided to take a look at our all-time favorite songs. And we wanted to take a bit of a different approach because, Derek, you've many times have said that, I sort of have the textbook answers on things and like that. And that's fair. That's a very fair criticism, I'm sure. But so this week we wanted to come up with a list of our favorite songs but they're personal favorites. So for whatever reason, these songs just mean something to us. We like them for whatever reason. Every time we hear them, they just mean something special. And we decided to put together our top 5 list of our favorite songs of all time, personal favorites. I think you're going to be surprised with a couple of mine. I think a couple ones you probably won't be surprised when you look back at the list, but I think 1 or 2 for sure. I think you might be shocked that they're actually on my list. I don't know. We'll find out. It was really difficult to put the list together. For me, it was. Anyway, I don't know about you.
Yeah, same thing. So just to echo what you said, again, like it's to put together a playlist. If someone said put together a playlist of 100 songs you like that's a difficult task in and of itself. But, there's a lot of good songs over the years that I like. I could make that list. Wouldn't take me very long. So we're not necessarily looking for this was the biggest song of my life. It was the number 1 song. It made the most money. It's just these are 5 songs that we really, really like that have some sort of significance or importance in our life. And I think in the case of my 5, I'm like, they were all pretty big hits. And I like to think that they're all pretty great songs even today because some of them are going back quite a ways.
Yeah. No. So do you want to get us kicked off? Why don't you start with your number 5 and then we'll go back and forth all the way up to our number 1. Your number 5 favorite song of all time. All right. So let's go.
So I found that I'm not going to rank them from like best to worst or worst to best. I'm just going to go chronologically. And I'm going to start with the most recent ones and work backwards.
Okay.
So with that being said, my number 5, my most recent song on my list is from March of 2004, and it's the song Somebody Told Me by The Killers. Are you familiar with this song?
Oh, I think, yeah. That's like you got a girlfriend that looks like a boyfriend or something like that. Yeah. Okay, I'm familiar with it, yeah.
All right, so The Killers, it's from their album Hot Fuss. The Killers are from Las Vegas, which I didn't know at the time, but hey, as Mr. Las Vegas, that was just another a plus reason to keep following this band. I've seen them in concert a couple of times as they've come through the Toronto area. I've picked up most of their albums. This was their first big hit that I heard. Apparently the song Mr. Brightside was released before this one from the same album, but this is the first time I heard this band was this song. And this was in 2004. So this was right after I got married. I had been married about a year at this point. My wife and I had just bought our first house at this point. I was, sort of quote unquote becoming a grown up. And due to a lot of changes that had happened in my life in the preceding few years, I hadn't really been following popular music. And up until this point, I had prided myself somewhat on being a pop culture aficionado. And, I always was keen on what was going on television. I always followed with movies, even comic books and other things. But music was the one thing that I sort of had to give. Something's got to give. Music had to give. And so in the late 90s and early 2000s, I wasn't listening to popular music at all. Not at all. I had a CD player in the car, and I was listening to some of my favorite CDs. I couldn't tell you one single song in the top 40. I didn't know any of the songs. And when this song came out, I just happened to have the radio on one day and I heard it, and I'm sort of, tapping my finger and humming along and thinking, wow, this song sounds really 80s. And just something about it really just clicked with me. I really enjoyed it. And sure enough, within a couple of days later, I'm in the car again and the song comes on again because it was in heavy rotation. Suddenly I'm like, oh, there's that song again. And then I had to make a point of looking it up. Well, who sings it and what's their band name stuff? And sure enough, I went out and picked up the album not long after that, listened to the whole thing, loved it. But this one, somebody told me, it's still to this day one of my favorites. And to me, it's important because it's sort of that song that got me back into popular music after a short hiatus of a few years. And basically from this point on, I started listening to the top 40 again. I tried to stay current with what was new, whereas a lot of my peers by this point, I would have been, 2004, 2005, I would have been, like 30 years old. By this point, most of my friends were like, music's peaked. Like you said, music was perfect in the 1980s. Why listen to anything newer? That was a belief that a lot of my friends perpetuated. And so nobody was really listening to top 40 radio anymore except me. And this was the song sort of got me back into that. And so for me, it holds an important place for me. So that's
nice.
My number 5. Somebody told me by the Killers.
Okay, I like it. So of my top 5, how many do you think of mine came out after 1986?
I would say exactly 0.
Yeah, that'd be a good guess. I'm going to surprise you with one though, because one did come out a little bit, quite a bit later than that. But we're going to get to that in a little bit. I'm going to go back a little bit. I'm going to go back to 1986. At the time, I was 16 years old and I was really into heavy metal. Okay, so it wasn't really cool for me to like this kind of music, but I did. And one of my favorite songs of all time is "Bizarre Love Triangle" by New Order.
Good pick.
And it's funny, like I say, I was like, me and my friends were like metalheads, right? So new wave, and I almost wasn't allowed to tell my friends about it, But when I think of 80s music and 80s songs, this is it. And the thing is that when I listen to this song, it not just sort of is the epitome of the 80s in terms of music. The thing is, it doesn't feel dated. Like a lot of 80s songs I think you listen to and they just sound like they're dated. They just sound like, oh, that's the 80s. You know what I mean? But
I got a few of those on my list, Chris. We'll get to that in 10 minutes.
And there's nothing wrong with those songs. That's one of the things I like about some of the 80s songs is that they're just steeped in the 80s so much that they just sound like the 80s. Like they could never have been made any other time. This song kind of transcends that for me. Like there's something about the music in this. I mean, there's nothing to do with the lyrics. I mean, there's only like 2 verses and 2 choruses, right? And the song, like it's not one of those songs that just goes on and on repeating itself with the lyrics. It's just this musical tour de force. Like the synths in it, the drums in it. It is an outstanding piece of music. And for whatever reason, I liked it right from when I heard it. It was never a big hit when it came out. Not in North America anyway. And even when, like I say, with my friends and stuff, it was never a big hit, but it was personally something I always liked. And I just felt like in terms of, I was never one to get up on a dance floor and dance. I was a metalhead, right? I'm not going to do that. But if there was any song that you want to just get up and dance to, I think this is it. And so, like I say, for all those reasons that I just mentioned, it's my number 5 favorite song of all time. Bizarre Love Triangle by New Order from 1986.
Nice. And I think one of the things to echo what you said about this song is it has been covered by a couple of bands over the years and re-released as a single by these other bands. And to me, when other artists do that, it really speaks to the power of the original song, especially if the cover can make it onto the charts again and introduce the music to a whole new audience of a new generation. And I think this song has done that a couple of times. So it's a great pick. That's a good song.
Yep. So that's my number 5. What do you got for number 4?
All right. Number 4. Again, so we started in 2004. This one goes to 1999. This one is What's My Age Again by Blink-182.
Oh, man. You know what? We should get Yancey on here talking about this because Yancey loves Blink-182. He would love that pick 100%.
Well, what's not to love? So it's from their album Enema of the State. The single was released in April of 1999. This is one of the I'm kind of shocked and a little embarrassed to admit this. This is the only song on my list that has an outstanding music video, and the music video is a big part of why I like this song. I had a list of like 7 or 8 almost on the lists, and most of those, a big part was like, this is a great video, this is a great video, this is a great video. This is the only one on my list where I'm like, this is a great video, and that's sort of the tipping point of how it made it on my list. So What's My Age Again? Blink-182 came out in 99. So I bought the album Enema of the State on CD, and so in 1999, right after this came out, I had been working retail. I'd graduated from university. I had my degree. I'd been working retail because that's the only kind of work I could find. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I moved back home with my parents because I had no money. And I worked retail for a couple of years. And then around this time, I went, you know what? This is BS. I've spent all this time and energy getting a degree. I'm done. I'm gonna figure out something else. So I took the summer off, and then I went back to school for a year to upgrade my education. And part of that 1-year program, I got a co-op, like a work placement, and it happened to be with the company that I'm still at 20 years later. And when I got this job, they said to me, like, if you want to bring in a radio or a CD player or something, as long as you plug your headphones into it, we don't mind if you listen to that while you work. In fact, a lot of people do that because it can get really noisy on the floor. Well, this CD was one of the ones that I had in heavy rotation when I first started my first real job, my quote unquote first career job. And I think it's sort of ironic in that the lyrics of this song are all about not growing up and wanting to just keep being a kid and shrug off those responsibilities. And, you know, they're making crank phone calls and they're doing all these things that are immature. And like, that's the lyric, right? What's my age again? It's like, well, how old are you? Are you 12 or are you 20? Like, and so it just was this interesting parallel that this song that had this great tune, that had these interesting lyrics, and it's really short. The song's under 3 minutes, which is not typical for pop songs. And well, if we call this a pop song, you call it a punk song, a pop song, alternative song, whatever. But it was catchy. The lyrics really spoke to me, and it has this great video where the three guys in the band are running around the streets of Los Angeles buck naked. Now, they weren't actually naked. I read up on it. They had these little flesh-colored Speedos, but because they were just running around with sneakers and what everyone assumed was just their naked bare asses hanging out, it caused a lot of stir when they were shooting this video, and it's a very memorable video, and it got a lot of airplay on MTV back then when they were still showing music videos, and that was a big part of what helped this song become such a big hit. And it's a big reason why so many people still remember the song, because the video is so creative. It's just these three guys running down the street naked, and again, it just echoes the whole idea of they're these guys, but they're immature, and here in this video they're running around naked like you would if you were a teenager, and it all sort of clicked and came together at the right time. So for me, this is my number 4. What's My Age Again? Blink-182, released in April of 1999.
I remember Yancey talking about this song on our podcast previously, and he mentioned the video as well and about them running around naked and stuff, and he loves this song, so you guys are kindred spirits. Okay, my number 4. I actually have to give credit to somebody for my number 4 song, and that person I need to give credit to is you, Derek. So about a year ago, we did our favorite Queen songs, if you remember.
I do, yes.
And I love Queen. I've always loved Queen, but I'm also like, I admit it, I'm sort of stuck in what I like, and I just listen to the same songs and watch the same TV shows, just like I mentioned with Three's Company at the top of the show, and the same movies. I watch Meatballs over and over again. I just that's just me. I'm stuck in Gen X. But I'm also stuck in the fact that there's just certain things I like, and I just listen to those songs over and over again, and I don't really try anything outside of that. And so when we did our top 5 Queen songs, I didn't even mention this as one of my top 5 Queen songs. You did. And then that made me kind of think, oh, well, maybe I need to like expand my horizons a little and listen to some, because for whatever reason, this song was just never on my radar. And it's Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. And so I really started to listen to it. And like, I think I had heard it before, but not really, just kind of the way it is. And then I started listening to this song over and over, and I think it's Freddie Mercury singing in it or whatever, but it's not even that. Like also the fact that it kind of starts out slow and then it just kicks into this tour de force where the whole band comes in. It just blows you away. But it's not even that either. The thing that is my kids. So my kids, I've been able to sort of inject sort of my love of Gen X pop culture into my kids. My kids are 10 and 6. And both my boys love this stuff, especially my 10-year-old. He loves anything that I kind of introduced to him. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars, all this stuff he loves. And both my boys absolutely love this song. They just love it. And they'll sing along. And We get in the truck, we're going to go somewhere. Daddy, put on Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. I probably had to listen to that song 100 times in the last couple months because I always got to put that song on because they love it so much. And so for those reasons, the fact that it's such a great song, it's one that I never really kind of discovered until recently. And also the fact that just it means so much to my kids, and it's something I'm sharing with my kids. And my kids have made me like this song so much. Even my oldest son, he's, like I say, he's 10. Last year, he had to do a speech in his school, and he did his speech on Freddie Mercury, and he talked about how much he loved this song. And so it's been you and it's been them that have kind of really opened me up to this song, and I absolutely love this song. It is rocketed right up to one of my favorite songs of all time. I love it. So thank you to my kids, and thank you to you, Derek.
You're very welcome, Chris. And like
so
I said,
good.
when we did our list on Queen,
Yeah.
One of the reasons I love this song so much is every time I listen to it, it makes me happy. There's just something about the music, the composition of this song that instinctually makes me feel happy. No matter how I'm feeling when I put it on, by the time the song's over, I feel happy. And it's one of the few songs that just, no matter what, has always done that. So I'm glad that it made your list.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Okay, on to your number 3. What do you got?
Number 3. Well, a list by 2 Canadians would not be complete without some Canadian content.
Nice.
So I kind of felt obligated to put at least one on there, but it wasn't much of an obligation because this song nicely fit into my list anyway. So we go from 1999 with Blink-182 to 1993 with the Tragically Hip At the 100th Meridian from the Fully Completely album.
Nice.
So in 1993, I completed my last year of high school, and I left home for the very first time to go away to university. And during that summer, this album, Fully Completely, was played nonstop on the Canadian radio. You couldn't get away from it if you wanted to, but why would you want to? It's just hit after hit after hit. It's my all-time favorite Tragically Hip album. I could listen to it from front to back. I know all the words. It's great. I love it. But the 100th Meridian isn't even necessarily it certainly wasn't the biggest hit off of this song, but it was a song that I did enjoy. And through the summer, it was one of the 4 or 5 or 6 songs off the album that I liked. And it was in heavy rotation. So, I knew it and I heard it and all the rest of that. But as an 18-year-old leaving home for the first time and going away to school, I'm going to live in residence. It's in a different city. I'm not going to know anybody. I'm going to have a strange roommate who may or may not have positive influence on my life, may introduce me to his strange friend, Chris. Like, a lot of weird stuff could happen when you go away to school. And so it was scary for an 18-year-old to be in this situation, to be moving out for the first time. And it's my dad drives me to school, and like many fathers and sons, you have this relationship. I had this relationship with my father where it's like, you don't talk about your feelings, right? It's like 2 guys. Of course you don't talk about your feelings. So we have this 4-hour drive all the way to the university, and we're just, chit-chatting, nothing important, but there's nothing crazy that's going on. And you're trying to hold in emotions and stuff. And then when we can see the residents in the distance and I'm getting close to the school, I'm really starting to feel emotional. I'm starting to cry because I'm going to miss my family and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And is this the right decision for me? And I'm starting to really think that maybe I made the wrong decision to go away to school or maybe this is not for me. I have no idea what to expect. And then as we're pulling up to the residence, you can see that they always brought back students who had lived in the residence the year before for that first weekend to help everybody move in and help with orientation and just try and make everybody feel better. And and these were just students who were only 1 year older than you, so they could still relate to you and they could give you the lowdown about school and teachers and pubs and restaurants and all the rest of that stuff. So anyway, as we're pulling up, I can see all this and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to see all these people who can see me crying. And who are all these people? But all of the windows on the residence that faced out to the street, all of the students that had returned had brought their radios and stereos, and they had put them in the various rooms with the speakers pointing out, and they had all been playing the same music. So as you were driving up the street, you could hear the music blaring. And when I pulled up, they were playing the song At the 100th Meridian by the Tragically Hip. And for some reason, just hearing that song made me feel better. And it was like, oh, well, they're playing a song I know. They're playing a song I really like. And it just I was already like in this weird emotional place, and like it was like after being in sort of this sad zone, it was like, well, now I'm in this happy zone. I hear this song, and it sort of turned things around. I mean, it was still a very emotional thing to say goodbye to your parents and all the rest of that, but this song always since then has always held a special place for me as this important music that was playing at a very pivotal point in my life. So for me, number 3 is At the 100th Meridian by the Tragically Hip.
Okay, so one thing that we always do on this show is, at least I try to be as honest as possible. Try to kind of put myself out there. And so I'm going to be honest right now. You're probably going to hate me. And there's going to be people out there that hate me, because the people on social media have hated me for this before. But I know I'm Canadian. I know this is anti-Canadian, but I've never liked the Tragically Hip. I know. And it's people have been all over me on social media in the past. They're like, you're not Canadian. You don't like the Hip. What the hell's the matter with you? I just never liked them. They kind of just sounded like a glorified bar band. I don't know. And I know it's awful. Like, even one of our best friends of our podcast here is Kurt Kalin, and he's out west. He does this great hip cover band that he's in out there, and he's an amazing musician, and he does a great job with them. And so he's going to listen to this, and he's going to send me a message, I'm sure. It's just, I don't know. It's not like I don't hate on them. I just never liked them. I don't know. I just never really got it. I never really got what was so great about them. And I just never really liked them that much. So it's nothing against them. I'm being honest. I got to be honest. So good on you for loving them. But I never really got the Hip. And I feel like I'm an anti-Canadian for it.
Well, let me add. So I'm a big fan of the Tragically Hip. I'm a big fan of their first 3, even 4 albums. But their last couple, to me, just were not great. Like, bands grow, bands change, and as they moved away from the sounds that were prevalent in the Fully Completely album and started to move into more, I don't know, it was more like mellow kind of music. It just, I didn't really connect with the last couple albums, but these first 2 or 3 were still, to this day, if you said, I want to rank your 100 favorite albums, best albums of all time, this Fully Completely definitely makes my list, as probably does Road Apples, the one that came before it. So anyways, what's your number 3?
So my number 3, I'm going with my favorite band of all time. And they are a band, again, music is not my biggest thing. And you kind of touched base on this before. Like, I'm more into like movies and TV shows, and music isn't my big thing. Yancey was always the music guru kind of around here. But that being said, my favorite band of all time is also a band that absolutely changed the world. I can't believe that a band has this capability, but they did. And the Beatles changed the world. They changed the world just with their music, which is incredible. And if you think about the time frame that they did it in, we're talking about 1964 to 1970. We're talking 6 years. And the amount of songs that they did and the influential songs that they created in a span of 6 years is mind-boggling. When you think about, just pick any modern type band, like, over the course of 6 years, they might put out 2 albums. like the Beatles were just incredible. But my favorite song of the Beatles is one of their last songs, because to me, when I was a kid too, I first sort of really got into the Beatles when my parents had, I don't know if you remember this, but there was like a red and a blue album of like the best of Beatles. And the red was like all the early stuff, and the blue was like the later stuff. And I always gravitated toward the blue one, the later stuff. And to me, Let It Be is one of the greatest songs ever. And to me, it's their best song. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's almost like a coda to their career. It's like the cherry on top of their contribution to the world. If you look at the 6 years that they spent, it's kind of like they finished off. I think the song that most people associate with the end of the road for the Beatles is The Long and Winding Road. But to me, it's Let It Be. And it's just kind of like, we did all this stuff, and then there's that song. And I'm not one to play the piano a lot. I can play, but anytime that I sit down at a piano or I get a chance, the song always inevitably that will come out of me is Let It Be. I'll play Let It Be on the piano and sing it. And I love that song. It's fantastic. I played it at my wedding. I just love the Beatles. And like I say, so for all those reasons why I love the Beatles and why I love that song is my number 3 favorite song of all time. It's a very simple song, but it's a very meaningful song. And the lyrics I just love too. I'm not an overly religious person, but this song doesn't strike me as really, it almost strikes me as being kind of spiritual in a way. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to explain it all. And like you mentioned before, the composition of a song is very important. And Let It Be, my number 3 favorite song of all time.
Good pick. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite Beatles songs too.
I really like that song a lot. I really do. So,
all right,
number 2.
My number two will probably speak more to your youth than you might think. Again, we're going back in time. We were 2004, 1999, 1993. We are now moving to 1988.
Ooh, now we're getting into my wheelhouse.
The song is "Pour Some Sugar on Me" by Def Leppard.
Oh, nice.
From the album Hysteria.
Yep.
So, I would have been 14. Sure. I would have been 13, 14 years old around the time this came out when Hysteria was released. I was aware of Def Leppard, but not really a big fan of their music that had come before this. But this was about the time in my life when I started to get an allowance, and I probably got an allowance before this, but where I started actually having a little bit of money, like disposable income. I was, 12, 13, 14 years old, and I was buying things that I wanted because I wanted them and not because my parents approved of it or my parents went out and got it for me. Although I guess technically if I got an allowance from my parents, they did buy it for me. So this was around the time when I started buying my own music. I was buying my own records. I was buying my own cassettes. And I remember Hysteria being one of the first musical cassettes I actually bought with my own money. And again, the Hysteria album was amazing. It is still amazing. It had like 5 or 6 singles released and played on the radio. And, again, it's excellent front to back with a huge amount of hits on this one. And I remember one of the very first times I heard this song was in the summer. I guess it would have been the summer of '88. And I mentioned on this podcast before, I have cousins that are about my age that I would spend summers with in Sudbury, which was where my mom's family was from. And my cousins had this huge group of friends. So whenever I went to visit them, there was always people around. There was always 5 or 6 or 7 kids around no matter what. And so it was always a party. And, you're a 13, 14-year-old, and it's always a good time. Well, I remember one of them, I don't remember who, had said like, hey, I recorded the Friday night video show a couple of nights ago, and there's this great song, and I got to play it for everybody. I don't know if you've heard it or not. And it was Pour Some Sugar on Me, and we hadn't heard it yet. And so my cousin cues it up, but he goes, hold on a minute. So his parents had this stereo with these gigantic speakers. Like, they were massive. They were way bigger than you would ever need in a house this size. And they were on opposite sides of the room, and my cousin literally takes them and moves them behind the couch and lays them down on their side, the 2 speakers side by side, pointing at the couch. And he adjusts the bass and he adjusts the volume and he plugs it into the TV and he cues up Pour Some Sugar on Me. And he's like, okay, we're ready. And he plays the video. The video's not anything great. It's just the band performing at a concert. Like, it is what it is. But the song was great. And I think really what was so memorable for me was he cranked this thing up so loud. His parents used to leave us in the house during the day when they went to work because we were 14, 15 years old, and he had an older brother. My cousin was like, I think around 18 at the time. So we had quote unquote adult supervision, but we got away with a lot of crap. So cranks this thing up as loud as it'll go totally to 11. This one goes to 11, cranks it up to 11, plays the song. We're all sitting on the couch. And you've got the giant speakers just blaring against the couch. And with every beat of the drum, the woofers are bouncing against the couch. And like everything in the house is shaking. And we're like feeling the vibrations of this music going through us. And we're watching the video and we're hearing the song. And we're like, wow, like it just blew us. It's like those old Memorex commercials. Remember where the guy's in the chair and the music comes on and like just everything in the room gets pushed? Like it felt like that. It's just you felt the music in your whole body. And it was such a significant way to experience a song for the first time that I never forgot it. And I always loved this song. I'm sure largely because of this. It was such an influential and memorable point for me. And it just reminds me of those summers that I spent with my cousins and having this great time and just experiencing this song in a way that I've never experienced a song like that for the first time ever before that or since then. It was so great to have it experienced that way for the first time. So that's my number 2. Pour Some Sugar on Me, Def Leppard from 1988.
Very cool. I was a big Def Leppard fan when I was younger too. I'm older than you are. Like when I was more of a fan of Pyromania when it came out. And so like, as I mentioned before, I was a bit of a metalhead when I was younger. I also played electric guitar, and I remember like, I love Rock of Ages, and I remember like trying to, like when I would play the guitar, trying to learn how to play Rock Till You Drop, Photograph, and Foolin' from Pyromania. And I almost felt like when they got to the next album with Animal and stuff, and with this song, when Pour Some Sugar on Me came out, I don't want to say that they were sellouts, but it was almost like, oh, they just got too big. I liked them better when they were kind of like smaller, and I kind of thought they were cool. But that's a great pick. Great pick for all the reasons that you mentioned.
And I've seen them. I've seen them in concert. Like 3 or 4 times now.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and Tragically Hip, I actually managed to see them on their very last tour. Gord Downie recently passed away, had been diagnosed with a brain tumor, and so they did like sort of the farewell tour. So that was the only time I ever saw the Tragically Hip perform, was in one of the very last shows. I never did see Blink-182, although I was supposed to when I was at school, but they got stopped at the border and weren't allowed to come into Canada. So
maybe that's because they were naked. You know, that's why they weren't allowed it.
Maybe.
Okay, so my number 2 is going to surprise you a little bit, because remember when I said how many songs do you think that I would like that are after 1986, and you said 0? Well, there's one.
Is this Britney Spears? Because I know you have a soft spot for Britney Spears.
I do. When have I ever mentioned that I like Britney Spears? I think she's kind of like trailer trash. Okay, so this song actually didn't just come out after 86. It didn't even come out in the 90s. It came out in 2003. So I know this is going to blow people away that I actually like a song, you know, that's that new. It's Where Is the Love by the Black Eyed Peas. I don't know what it is about this song. So from a musical point of view, it's clean and sharp. It makes you sit up and take notice right away, like a lot of their songs do. I've never been one, I gotta admit, I've never been one to really get into the lyrics of songs. Like a lot of times I just listen to the music. I enjoy the music. I think because I play piano, I play guitar, so I enjoy music. But lyrics have never been something that really grabbed me for the most part. Sometimes I don't even really pay attention to the lyrics, but this is a song, I think, just because it starts so clean and crisp. And as I've mentioned before, as you know, I'm a big softie, you know, in regard to just equality and things like that in the world, you know, like, I mean, I know I'm a big softie for that kind of stuff. And this song, the lyrics, when they come in, I'm just like, wow. And I just listen to this song and I'm just almost mesmerized by it. And just some of the messages that they're talking about, like, you know, when it starts out, you know, almost right away, and they're talking about, like, can you practice what you preach? Will you turn the other cheek? And then what really gets me is, I think it's like later in the song, when they're talking about things like, whatever happened to the values of humanity? Whatever happened to fairness and equality? I don't know. There's just something about this song that is just very, very impactful. It's not quite like a lot of their other music, and some of their other music is very catchy, and like these guys are talented. I will give them that. But this song's a little bit different. It's like, to me, this song has some really important messages, and it harkens back to kind of those kind of idealistic songs that you used to get from like John Lennon and stuff. And so for those reasons, I really like Where Is the Love a lot. And it's one of those songs that every time I hear it, it just gets me. And it's almost an emotional song. I think it's so important. And, you know, like, as I've said before, like, I not to get political on the podcast, but as I've mentioned before, like, sometimes I just sit back and wonder, like, with all the hate in this world, sometimes it's just like, where's the love? You know? And this song just captures it perfectly. So it's my number 2 favorite song of all time. A bit of a surprise, I'm sure, but it is.
I don't know this song at all.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to challenge you to, maybe when we're done with the podcast, before we come back next week, just go and listen to this song. Where Is the Love by the Black Eyed Peas. Okay, so just make a note of it. Do me a favor, please, as some homework, just listen to this song. And then maybe we'll talk about it at the top of the next show. I don't know. There's something about this song. It just blows me away every time. So
fair enough.
Number 2 of all time.
It falls into that musical dead zone, right? Remember I was saying at the top of the show, 2004, right. I sort of got back into music.
I get it.
This came out in 2003. It was right in that dead zone. So there's a lot of music between like 2000 and 2003 that it's like, I have no idea. Never heard it, or it doesn't sound familiar. So yeah, I'll go back. Maybe it's when I hear it, I'll be like, oh, I think I know that song. But
I'm pretty
just
sure
off the title,
that you would.
Doesn't.
I'm pretty sure that you would. If it'd be one of those things that, people killing, people dying. I really think if you heard it, you'd be like, oh, I know that song. I've heard it before. Oh, it's so good.
All right. Well, I'll look it up and give it a listen after the show.
Oh, so good. All right, on to your number one favorite personal song of all time.
All right. Well, my number one song, again, I'm not doing a countdown from worst to best. I'm just
working your way back
in chronological order. So
I'm working my way up.
My list would not be complete without a song from a movie soundtrack, a big song from a big movie soundtrack.
Oh,
we're going all the way back to
Titanic.
1985. Chris, any guesses? 1985.
1985. I'm going to say the Goonies are good enough for me.
No.
I don't know.
They are not good enough for my list. My number one song is "The Power of Love" by Huey Lewis and the News from the Back to the Future soundtrack.
That's a good one. I like Huey Lewis. Again, I was when I was younger, I had to like heavy metal. Like that was my thing with me and my friends. But I always liked Huey Lewis too. My girlfriend liked Huey Lewis at the time, and so I kind of got into it. That's a good pick. I like it. Tell me a bit more about it and why you like it.
As I mentioned, some of the songs on my list made the list in part because of their music videos. This one had a really boring music video because the song was released before the movie came out, and the video was shot before the movie came out. So I believe the part of the problem was they either weren't allowed to show clips of the movie in the video, or the movie wasn't finished and they couldn't get them clips from the movie. So you have Doc Brown driving up in the DeLorean at the start and at the end of the movie, but other than that, it's just Huey Lewis at a concert venue singing the song. It's a really boring video. But the movie Back to the Future, outstanding movie, ruled the box office in '85, is one of my all-time favorites. It's a classic. Whenever it's on, I have to watch it. We've talked about the great Michael J. Fox many times on this podcast. You even talked about seeing the cast of Back to the Future at the Fan Expo a couple of years ago. I mean, Back to the Future is an important movie in pop culture. And Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News is an important part of this movie. This song and the score of the movie includes riffs from the song. Even Huey Lewis makes a small guest appearance in the movie. But the song is just, it's catchy. It's great. This is after Huey Lewis has put out his sports album with Want a New Drug and The Heart of Rock and Roll. So like Huey Lewis at this time is a pretty big artist. And my understanding is he had been contacted by a couple of other movie groups and asked to do soundtrack work, and he had turned it down. And then there was the whole controversy about the Ghostbusters soundtrack, where Ray Parker Jr. apparently lifted the musical riff from I Want a New Drug, and there was a whole legal battle. And Huey Lewis was so sour about the whole thing that the next time someone came to him and said, "Do you want to do a movie thing?" He's like, "Gosh darn it, yes, I do. I want to get in on this because it's been nothing but grief up until now." And man, oh man, couldn't have picked a better one with this. So in addition to the song being a great song and being part of a great movie, and as it came out in '85, so as an 11-year-old, I would have been young and impressionable. This is sort of another coming of age kind of story for me. This would have been around the time when my parents were starting to let me give me a little bit of independence. You would go outside and play with your friends. You would go out and ride bikes and all the rest of that. But this was about the age when my parents felt I was responsible enough, and when I was with the right group of friends, that I could go to the movies by myself, because we had a movie theater just down the street. And in the summer, we were able to go and see matinees of Back to the Future, which I believe at the time they were still doing $2 Tuesdays. Way back then, that's how little it used to cost to get into the theater. And so we probably saw Back to the Future a dozen times that summer. And excuse me, it was just again, it was an important time in my life as a young, impressionable 11-year-old to have this responsibility. You can go to the movies by yourself. I mean, you still have to tell mom and dad where you're going, and I still have to pay for the movie, which I probably did with my allowance. It was all of $2. But the song just has always stuck with me. It's one of my – I love Huey Lewis. I've seen him in concert a couple of times. This is still my absolute favorite Huey Lewis and the News song. It is in fairly heavy rotation on any channel that plays classic hits of the 70s and 80s. Again, it's got a boring music video, but even the video used to be on pretty regular rotation on the video channel. And Back to the Future, again, a great movie. It comes up all the time on cable. You just can't escape this song. If you don't like this song, like, you got to really go out of your way to avoid it. It is everywhere. It was in '85, and even to this day, it's still played a lot. And this is my number one song on my list, Power Love, Huey Lewis and the News.
Man, that's a good one. I like that one a lot. And the thing with Huey Lewis, too, I mentioned earlier, like, I kind of liked it. I always liked Huey Lewis. They actually had some pretty good guitar in some of those songs. You mentioned I Want a New Drug. And like there was some pretty good guitar playing going on, good soloing and stuff. I don't know. Huey Lewis was awesome. And great vocals, too, eh? Like, just
when we saw him,
great vocals.
We saw him perform at the Niagara Falls Casino like 5 or 6 years ago, and he was doing like it was a greatest hits tour. I think they had put out a DVD. It was like Huey Lewis 20 years later or 25 years later or something, and he traveled and performed with like this huge jazz band. So like you had 12 or 15 or 18 performers on stage for a lot of these songs, and many of the songs already had that in there, but it was really interesting to hear some of your favorite songs performed a little bit differently. And it's almost like when you watch a movie a second time and you notice details you hadn't picked up before. Hearing the songs performed in this way, it like lets you enjoy the song in a way that you maybe hadn't enjoyed it in a long time, if ever before. So yeah, no, and this, of course, this was one of the ones that I look forward to the most. So yeah, that's my number one.
Okay, so my number one song, I mentioned before how the Beatles changed the world, with their music. And they definitely changed my world with their music. And it's funny when a band that is that good, breaks up like they did in 1970. Where do they go from there? Like nothing that they're going to do afterward. And the thing with Lennon and McCartney was, as a team, they were just so good. There was just something about like capturing lightning in a bottle. Those two together, just unbelievable. Just the artistry. So when they go their separate ways, it's like, there's no way they're going to ever be able to do anything as good as that again. Well, hold the phone. Because for me, in 1971, John Lennon came out with just a song that absolutely changed the world, in my opinion. And it's my favorite song of all time, and that's Imagine. I love this song. I mentioned how before, sometimes if I sit at a piano, I'll play Let It Be. The other song that I'll play is Imagine. It was in The Killing Fields, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and we talked about that on the show before. Obviously, there was an episode of WKRP in Cincinnati where they talked about this, so it's kind of interwoven into a lot of the pop culture that I love. But this song is so good, and the thing is it received some criticism, because that's a song about a world without religion. There's no religion, and there's no God, and there's no heaven, and there's no hell. But that's not what the song's about. The song isn't about those. It's not saying, wouldn't the world be good without those things? It's just saying, just imagine it. Just imagine what the world would be like if they didn't have religion or hunger or greed. Imagine if there was just no possessions. And I love the lyric when he says, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Again, it goes back to me being a kind of a big softie in terms of this, and sort of a real idealist. I have been my whole life. But this song just kind of encapsulates all the things that all of my values that I hold strong about the way the world should be, and the way that maybe we should just look at the world sometime and step back and look at it a different way. And this song has always spoke to that. So for me, Imagine is my favorite song of all time. I love it.
Good pick.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those songs that kind of just transcends everything, and it just I don't know. It can change the world, and it can also change your life if you change your perspective and look at things. I don't know. I just think it's just an unbelievable song. Unfortunately, Yoko Ono apparently had a lot to do with the song, but that aside, God, this song is so good. Anyway, there's our top 5 personal favorite songs of all time. I think now we should have some
fun with Caveman.
All right, my man, here's what we're going to do. I know music, you mentioned earlier, music's not really like your, right in your wheelhouse. You're more of a movie, TV guy. So am I. And I mean, Yancey was always kind of the music guru around here. But here's what I want.
Whoa. I know a little bit about music.
You do. You definitely know more
I'm
than
not Chris level ignorant.
No,
but
exactly. You're not me. Just imagine a world with no music. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see how much you know about some really, really sort of popular songs. I'm going to keep it pretty popular, so it shouldn't be too hard for you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the first line or two
Oh my God.
of a song, and just with the lyrics, and just see if you can name the song. Some of them super easy. I think other ones it's harder when you hear, like when I was writing out the lyrics and I'm looking at them and I'm like, if I don't sing it, it's a lot harder. Like if you sing it, immediately you know the song. But if you just speak it, it's a little more difficult. But that being said, I think some of them are easy. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to give you the first line or two of a song. See if you can name the song, okay?
Okay.
All right, start with some easy ones here. Big wheels keep on turning, carry me home to see my kin.
I have no idea.
You don't know that?
No.
I started with the easy. Sweet Home Alabama. Sweet Home Alabama. Okay. Sure. All right, picture yourself.
I know the song. I don't catch the lyric.
Well, Caveman, picture yourself in a boat on a river with tangerine trees and marmalade skies.
Oh, well, that's the Beatles for sure. That's is that Lucy in the Sky with
It
Twins?
is.
There we
go. Very good. All right. It's 9:00 on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in.
Is that it's by Billy Joel? It's is that the Piano Man?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Billy Joel, but I do know his music.
Yeah, you know his music. All right, again, here's another easy one. She's got a smile. It seems to me reminds me of childhood memories.
Oh, it doesn't sound. Sorry, could you repeat it for me?
She's got a smile. It seems to me reminds me of childhood memories.
That's Guns N' Roses. Mm-hmm. Sweet Child of Mine.
Very good. See, you can do this. See, some people call me the Space Cowboy. Some people call me the Gangster of Love.
And some people call me Maurice. This is oh, geez. I know the song, and I'm blanking on the title. This is oh my God, Chris, I can't think of the friggin' title of this. Some people call me Space Cowboy. Is it the Steve Miller Band?
It is the Steve Miller Band.
It's the Gangster of Love. I can't think of it. I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's the Joker.
Oh, the Joker.
Yes.
Great.
At first I was afraid. I was petrified.
That's Gloria Gaynor. I Will Survive.
Very good. See, you can do this. How about this one? You put the boom boom into my heart.
Yeah. That's Wham. Is that Wake Me Up Before You Go Go?
It is Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. Very good.
I don't know the titles. It's like I know the song.
I know, yeah.
I have to sing it really fast. Okay.
These are easy. These are easy, right? We can dance if we want to. We can leave our friends behind.
Yeah, this is what you get when you search for our podcast in Google, and it says, "Did you really mean Pop Goes the World by Men Without Hats?" But this wasn't Pop Goes the World. This was sorry. Can you read me the lyric again?
We can dance if we want to. We can leave our friends behind.
No friend of mine. Yeah, is it? No, this was. Yeah, is this Pop Goes the World?
No, it's not. It's Safety Dance.
Safety Dance. I knew it was Men Without Hats, so I had 50-50.
It is. It came up before that. All right, here's an easy one. I get knocked down, but I get up again.
That's Chumbawamba, Tub Thumping.
Very good. See, you can do this song.
I love this song.
All right, been working so hard, I'm punching my card.
Is that Footloose, Kenny Loggins?
It is. See, it's easy, right? There must be some kind of way out of here, said the Joker to the thief.
Is that All Along the Watchtower?
See, you can do this. It's so easy. And the last one, this is an easy one too. I love this song. A man walks down the street. He says, "Why am I soft in the middle now?"
That's I know this. This is Paul Simon. Soft in the, is this Graceland?
No, close. It's from the album Graceland, but it's You Can Call Me Al.
Call Me Al.
Yes.
That is a great video with Chevy Chase.
Oh, it's one of the greatest music videos of all time.
Chris, I got one for you.
Yeah.
We used to have a board game where this was one of the categories, and I remember to this day, I remember one that I got wrong.
Okay.
That it was largely due, just like you said, when you hear the lyrics spoken, you don't necessarily think of the music. So I remember my friend, he read me the clue.
Okay.
And I'm like, I have no idea. And then he sang me the clue, and
you got it right away. Yeah.
Okay. So the lyric is, I've got chills. They're multiplying.
Oh, it's Summer Nights.
It's something from Greece. I don't know
Yeah,
what
from
songs,
Greece.
but yeah. And then so I'm like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I've got chills. They're multiplying. And I'm like, I don't know. It sounds science fiction.
Yeah, is it like
something.
Thriller?
And yeah. And he starts singing it, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I miss that? And he thought that was the most, because he's like, after he said, he goes, I deliberately read it that way so that you wouldn't get it. I'm like, well, that was smart of you, because I didn't get it. But
oh, you did pretty good. I mean, you got a couple wrong. You got about 4 wrong, but I mean, hey, you did really well. I mean, and again, it's a lot harder, and a lot of times, even the ones that you got wrong, you had the right artist. You just got the wrong
Or I knew
song.
the lyric, and I like the Joker. I'm like, couldn't come up with it fast enough.
I tried to go easy on you and give you all the easy ones. So
well, I appreciate that.
Now, as I mentioned before, if you have any suggestions for topics for our top 5 list, make sure you reach out to us on Twitter at Amaron_DM for Derek, at C. McBrien for me. But another thing that we do around here, other than top 5 lists, is we also do movie reviews. And next week, we are going to be coming up with another movie review. And this time, Derek, it's over to you to suggest a film. What do you got?
All right. I am going to recommend something very recent that I am positive you have never seen.
If it's recent,
it's very recent, and you've not seen movies recently.
You can pretty much guarantee.
I'd like you to watch the 2016 movie Arrival. Not to be confused with the crappy Charlie Sheen one from the 90s called The Arrival. This one is called Arrival. It stars Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker. It's directed by Denis Villeneuve, who is known for directing other movies like Sicario and Blade Runner 2049. He's directing the new Dune movie. This movie, Arrival, blew me away when I saw it. I saw it at the Toronto Film Festival. Its North American premiere. It literally blew me away. I had to go and see it. It came out in theaters like about a month after. I had to take my wife to see this movie. I went back to the theater and saw it with her again. She loved it, and she's like, I can't wait to watch this movie again when we get it on home video. I've probably watched the movie 6 or 7 times, and it's only a few years old. There's so much going on in this movie. My wife and I really liked it. I know you're going to hate it, but I'm telling you to watch it anyway. Hopefully there's enough there that we can find some middle ground on. So that's what I'd like you to watch. Arrival, starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner from 2016. We'll come back next week and talk about it.
All right, so Arrival. Now, this sounds like something like Yancey might have thrown at me. Is this like a science? This is like, some science fiction.
It is a
thing
science fiction
weird.
movie, yes.
It's not like dystopian.
It's not
future.
post-apocalyptic.
Oh, good. Oh, good. At least there's that.
But it is heavily veined in sci-fi. I don't want to ruin really anything, so try not to read anything about it if you can find it.
I never do.
It might still be available on Netflix, but just try to sit through the whole. Well, definitely sit through it in one viewing, because it's one of these ones where there's a lot going on, and like you're gonna miss the payoff in the last 20 minutes if you forgot what happened in the first hour because you split it up over 2 nights. So please try to watch it in one sitting. I think you'll get a lot more out of it that way.
I will definitely do my best to watch it all in one go. I will definitely watch it. No question. I don't even know if I've even heard of it before. Go figure. But I will definitely give it a try. 2016 Arrival with Amy Adams, you said, right? Okay, well, make sure and watch it. And then if you want to reach out to us on Twitter at Amaron_DM or at C. McBrien or popgoesyourworld.com is our website. Make sure you go out over the website. You can send us an email. But until next time, this is Chris McBrien for Derek Myers saying thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.